Good morning, everybody. Ian Maddox, Hitchcock Maddox Financial Partners, and I am excited about today. We do these videos on an ongoing basis, but as you see, I have a guest with me. And as I mentioned in our intro video last week, we are beginning a series that we've called COVID Comeback. And we're going to be connecting with a number of local, regional business leaders, folks that I know personally, interact in different capacities. And today, I'm with Greg Carroll, owner, operator of Carroll Pharmacy. And we're just going to hang out and talk a little bit, Greg. Appreciate you being here with us.
Glad to be here.
Bring us up to speed. Just give us kind of a 60, 90-second history of Carroll Pharmacy.
Wow. Let's see if I can condense that into 60 seconds. Well, let's see. 1995 is when we opened the first location in Clay, just over the hill, and was over there. 2010, we opened our second location here in Trussville. Really, my friend Don Hastings, which was my mentor, which was really a rock's throw from right here where we're standing, but he was doing business here in Trussville, so initially I really didn't want to compete with him, so I went to Clay, and he passed away, and after talking with Betty and getting her blessing and everything, we decided to open up in Trussville, and my daughter was in pharmacy school at the time, and it was just a natural transition to have another pharmacy, so she's on board here, and we've been here since 2010, and just enjoyed serving both communities.
And this used to be a bank.
Yes, used to be a bank, so we have a great tornado shelter for sure.
Right, and it's a great transition to a pharmacy because you've got the drive-through and the lobby area that you can use as a gift store. Or whatever.
Yes.
And along those lines, in light of the last 12 months, what's unique to me about your operation, some pharmacists, it's just a dedicated pharmacy, but you're dealing with both the retail aspect and the pharmacy aspect. Talk to me about kind of that challenge and how you guys navigated with COVID through that part of it.
Fortunately, unfortunately, the retail side of our business is not a huge part of our business, mainly vitamins, supplements, healthy solutions, those type of things over the counter. So the actual gift shop retail wasn't a big enough percentage to cause a problem.
Okay.
But we did make some adjustments. We initially closed the lobby right at the start, but we did some juggling there to start with, for sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So if we continue in that theme of juggling, when I think of operations, fortunately, your industry, my industry, we were considered, infrastructure, so we could stay open, whereas many people had to close. What were some of the things you did initially, and then over time to ensure safety of staff and customers being able to keep the doors open, right? I mean, we have to keep people safe, but we also have to pay the bills, so we have to have revenue coming in. So what did you guys do in that regard?
Yeah. So initially, at the onset of the pandemic, I felt like looking back on it, to use an analogy, I noticed you ride bikes. I noticed them on the back of your car when you drove up.
Right.
So initially, if you're riding a bike, your initial mission is to finish your race or chart your course and finish that course. But sometimes you fall. And when you fall, your first reaction is, "Am I okay?" You're not worried about finishing the race.
I usually check to make sure my bike's okay.
Well, I was going to say that's
the cyclists watch things will laugh at me and be like, how's my bike?
Yeah, I was going to say that might be the second thing, but I can see your point. Some people might check that first. Your leg may be somewhere else.
I'm bleeding, but is my bike broken?
But so the initial phase of the pandemic, we were just treading water, checking to make sure we were okay, and those type of things. And then the main thing we wanted to do is get back to our mission as soon as possible. When you're treading water or you've fallen off your bike, you can't really concentrate on your mission.
That's right.
Which ours is to provide healthy solutions while caring to love and loving to care. So initially we couldn't really do that well. So we got at the top of the funnel, we had to gather information from the CDC, from the government, from the State Board of Pharmacy, from all of my peers. What are you doing? What are we going to do? And so with all of that, we came up with what we thought were some things to do. We split up into 4 teams with our employees for both stores, so we could rotate times together. We kept separated.
That's interesting.
That way we could make sure that we would at least have
exposures were minimized.
Exposures were minimized, so we could keep one location open if you know, we had an outbreak in both locations, at least we would have a couple of teams left. So fortunately, we never did get in a situation where we had a team completely quarantined. So it worked out well. But I think a lot of it was from our due diligence. I had a student at the time that wrote a protocol for cleanliness and how we went about our daily cleanings, hourly cleanings after each transaction. So that was put in place fairly quickly.
SOP, standard
yes,
procedure.
yeah, and so that was put in place quickly to make sure we minimize risk for our employees as well as our clients and our patients. So it was a lot to start with. It's something different that we weren't exposed to, but once we got back in the boat, we could focus on our mission and what the outcome and the vision would be if we followed the mission. And then that started making things easier once we started focusing on just looking at the patient and caring for them.
Sure. You are obviously trusted by your customers to have expertise when it comes to medicine, drugs. And when we think about what's happened in the last couple months with the vaccine, I'm sure this comes up a ton.
Yeah.
Do you get asked a lot of questions, and kind of what is your finger on the pulse of that? Is there a positive response, negative, neutral? Kind of, if you had to put it into percentage terms, what is your take on it?
I think there's about a third in each quadrant. You got a third that's very positive, wants to get vaccinated as soon as possible. In fact, when they first came out, we had like at least 1,000 on a waiting list.
Wow.
To get in touch with when we got the vaccines in. And it's obviously diminished since now because most of those 1/3 have gotten vaccinated. So now you have a 1/3 that's kind of on the fence that are kind of either want to see what happens with the vaccine
Sure.
or is going to get it, just hasn't gotten it, and that kind. And then you've got a third that's just not going to get it.
Totally negative.
Totally
negative.
negative.
No matter what you tell them.
No
They're
matter
just like,
what, and they generally don't come in asking questions. It's the ones on the fence that ask the questions.
Makes sense.
So the ones
they've already made up their mind.
yes,
So.
yes.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
and by the way, Megan and Dina and Natalie and all my team answer most of the questions. I'll get a few texts, but I don't get most of the questions. They answer most of the questions.
Yeah, that's good. Well, so let's just obviously it's been challenging for all types of businesses,
Yeah.
your business, my business, everybody's, over the last 12 or 14 months. If you were to look back over that, and I could ask this two ways, any takeaways that you would say actually benefited the business that you will apply going forward, right? You say, that was something we didn't ever think of. Now we have this in place, and it's something that now we can execute if we need to in the future. Anything that you'd say, processes, procedures, business practices?
Well, I think the main thing my main takeaway, and I've kind of touched on it right away, is that you need to get back to your mission as quickly as possible, no matter what the situation. You need to focus on what you're there for.
Right.
You need to. Otherwise, if you're not doing what you're set out to do, then why are you there?
Why are you there?
So, and I appreciate all my customers and clients that were patient with us during that, especially that initial period when the lobby was closed, we were doing curbside and drive-through and delivery. All my customers were just awesome to deal with, and they put up with us.
It's good to have loyal customers.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, listen, I appreciate it. I hope our viewers are gleaning some good stuff from these videos. We'll have another series of them, multiple business operators, owners that we'll be interviewing here in the next couple of weeks. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
Thanks
if
for
you
having
guys need a good pharmacist, 2 locations, one in Clay, one right here. If you live in Trussville, you can't not know where Carroll Pharmacy is because you drive right through. It's right here in the heart of Trussville. Until next time, Ian Maddox, HMFP.
All right.